Some people feed you and some people bleed you, and then you have to identify on a spectrum of relativity, is it worth being bled by this person because they're your grandma?
All right, guys, so we're back for another episode of Defining Success with Matt Foster. I have my good friend and one of the most high frequency people that I know, Dave Meltzer. Dave, appreciate you coming on today, man.
Well, I was excited. It's been way too long. And when you're a very active person with multiple relationships, trying to empower people like yourselves, it's amazing how time flies. But yet, I've seen the success that you've had in the exponentiality of the outcomes by truly leaning into being kind and articulating value in a very prosperous area of residential and commercial real estate. So I wanted to tell you, number one, congratulations. Two, thank you so much for helping me on my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. If I could find more of Matt Foster's, I'd be fine.
Oh man, I love that. You're too kind, man, and that's why I enjoy our friendship. It's just we both leave better for it, right? And I think that's what a good friendship is. And I think you talk a lot. I'll jump right into it. I think you talk a lot about really auditing the relationships in your life, the people that are helping you raise your frequency, and then the people that are bleeding you. Talk to me a little bit about Akron, Ohio to pole vaulting. Walk me from that timeline to that timeline, and then we'll jump from there.
Yeah, sure. And it's kind of learning that great chain of feeding, understanding some people feed you and some people bleed you. And then you have to identify on a spectrum of relativity, is it worth being bled by this person because they're your grandma, right? Or compared to like some idiot in high school making fun of you. There's a big difference of what level or threshold we're going to allow those two people to bleed us. Grandma, they can bleed me a lot. Asshole from high school, not a chance. But I didn't know that back then. I grew up with 6 kids and a single mom. What I did know was poverty. And what I did know was scarcity. And what I did know was competition, comparison, and the judgments of others and the self-worth that is prevalent in someone that doesn't have enough. And when you have a mom that gives everything to her 6 children, working 2 jobs, packing a dinner in a paper bag, but yet providing happiness and love and a vision of success via education, it's difficult to catch your mom crying when the car breaks down. It's difficult. One of the things I get choked up about that I'm just dealing with today at 55, when I was 7 years old, I stole $17 from my mom's purse. Within 30 minutes, I was going to the grocery store and we stood in line. And when she went into her purse to pay for groceries, we didn't have enough money. So
if that doesn't do something inside of you forever, you
yeah,
don't have a heart, right?
right. And so, forgiveness is the lesson that heals that pain of knowing I'm human and I was a kid and what happens. But other kids never have that experience because they don't need to steal from their mom. They don't have a desire to be rich because they don't know anything different. And you talked about leading me to pole vaulting. I wanted to be a professional athlete, and I played football in college. But the interesting thing was I love pole vaulting because unlike football, where when I stepped on the field, even as the team captain my senior year in college of an undefeated team, when I stepped on the field, I still was second on the second string on the chart coming into my senior year, right? Where in pole vaulting, it didn't matter how tall I was, how short I was, how fast I was, how strong I was. There was only that Dave Meltzer cleared 15 feet 9 inches and won. Or Dave Meltzer cleared 15 feet 9 inches and came in 5th. But I loved pole vaulting because it taught me that quantitative value was something that could not be disputed. Quantitative value could not be disputed. And so when I got into sales, and that's still what I'm really in, even though I run some of the biggest companies in the world and invest, My ability to articulate the quantitative value to exceed what I'm asking for is at the core of my ability to make money. That I am a giver and a receiver. I give more than I receive quantitatively, but there was no doubt when I cleared 15 feet 9 inches, 4.6 meters, that I could articulate the value of that comparatively to the other people that were clearing their best. And I love that about pole vaulting. I do love it about golf as well. You know, I love the fact that my son does love football like me, and he faces the subjective nature of are you good enough for, starting and not starting at subjective matter. But I love that he's involved in a sport that's quantitative because both are necessary in life because people buy on emotion for logical reasons.
Yeah, it's clear cut competition, and I would say, in knowing you for a long time and knowing your story, you have something that you see and don't see in others, and either you have it or you don't, right? Which is kind of that hunger, kind of growing up in the conditions that you did, single mom, 6 kids, right? Just wanting to get after it. There's just a deep need to improve and get better, and it's gonna, of course, in some version of our lives, and it did for you. I'd love for you to talk about this part because you got to the $100 million net worth and blew it all up, right? Because you had one part of the right success, which is I want it. I want to be better. I need to be better. I need to be beyond these circumstances, and I'll do whatever it takes. Even if they say I can't do football, I'll do football. If I can't do pole vaulting, I'll do pole vaulting. They say I can't run with the beginning of the internet and not go a traditional route like lawyer or doctor and still win. I'm showing my mom. I'm showing everybody else. But at some point, that dark energy that drives you, which can produce all these results, implodes on itself because the foundation isn't those bricks were built with really hot heat, right? But at the same time, that fire is still going to light the whole thing up. So talk a little bit about, you have this meteoric rise, utilizing your will to a certain point, and it all kind of, all came crashing down to make you look at the ashes with your wife and your kids and, hey, where are we going to go from here? And you kind of recreated this second half of your life, which has done a whole lot more. What's been some of the bumps and journeys and eye-opening vision that you see going forward from getting there, crashing, and then rising up again?
Yeah, for me, it was notating I had a desire that I must be what I can be, but I always had a desire to do my best, learn lessons, and have fun. And I did that my whole life. It was at first to be able to make the football team and then play in college and then start in college and then, get into the best law school and to make the most money coming out of law school and to buy my mama a house and buy my mama a car. And
Mm-hmm.
I did my best. I learned lessons and I had fun. I had a desire that I must be what I can be. And it all changed when I lost sight on what I can be.
Mm.
Instead of worrying about what I was becoming, I had thought, I call it an arriver in one of my books. I had arrived. So I did my best and learned lessons regarding having fun, but I had no other purpose. And I surrounded myself, like you said, with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. I lost my application of my why. I don't believe in searching for a why. I've always applied my why. I've applied my desire that I must be what I can be by doing my best at whatever I wanted to do and having fun doing it, which is a superpower that, I'm a guy who goes live every day and people are like, dude, you don't have to do that. Your brand is huge. You make tons of money. Why would you every single day pour into people on IG Live and TikTok Live? Because I apply my why. I enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential of empowering as many people as I can to make as much money as they can, to help as many people as they can, to have as much fun as I can. And
Yeah.
I lost that and it spiraled quickly. And all I ended up doing was applying my why to negative trajectories, to creating more interference in my life. And instead of, wanting more for a purpose of passion or profitability, I wanted more for the wrong reasons and the wrong ideas. And those started to aggregate and create interference. So I shifted my paradigm from all of this abundant philosophy that took me so many years to learn into I need more, but I don't know what I want more of. So I'll buy more things, different things. I'll buy things to impress people that I don't even like because I can't figure out that attachment to my application of why. And it took a basement, losing everything, almost losing my life, almost losing my wife, and I'm still not sure which one would have been worse, to reallocate my paradigm in life to I am. I am David Meltzer. I am happy. I am healthy. I am wealthy and I am worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it? And when I shifted that paradigm, day one, I started knocking down what I was doing to interfere. I fired friends. I started creating good habits again. The Dave Meltzer that was someone who came close to his potential in everything, whether it was being a student or an athlete. That doesn't mean I was the best at it, right? Our skills and our knowledge determine our basement. Our desire gets us close to our potential. My basement of football, for example, is so far down that my potential isn't even at the basement of, a Jeff George or a Ryan Leaf or a Tom Brady. Their basements are higher than my potential, but that's okay because life's about enjoying that pursuit of the potential. And that's what I'm here to help people with is how do you apply your why? In fact, I give away, and Matt, I'd love to do this for your community. I give away my book. I sign it. I send it to you. I pay for the book and shipping. I'm not one to stand in front of shit that I don't own. I was so disappointed. I just got to tell you, I have a billboard for my Apple TV shows, and I do lives in front of them in Times Square. On the very same day, one of the kids that I coach, creates a fake one, right, and thinks he's getting away with it. And I was so disappointed. It's like, dude, why don't you stand in front of cars you don't own, planes you don't own, houses you don't own, to try to inspire people? The truth vibrates the fastest. And just because you can use some creative art tool to make it seem like you got a billboard in Times Square, it's not going to vibrate at the same frequency as actually doing it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. People aren't as dumb as we'd like to think that they are, right? It's like, even whatever shortcuts we think we can pull, just because you get a fast one or can cut some corners. I've always seen it in life. Given a long enough trajectory, you're always paying that back at some point. You may pay it back with money if it was a shortcut on money. It may be in another way, but the debt always comes due on short moves, right? One of the things that you talk about that I'd really love for my audience to hear about is your 1% better. Your 1% better, the application of the law of 72. I think that's something that they can really apply with their lives because it's so digestible and almost you could just miss it. But talk a little bit about 1% and the rule of 72.
Yeah, well, first you have to realize that time is the only dependent variable of all matter, and objective and subjective matter. So time's infinite in the past. You can close your eyes and go back 100 million years. Time's infinite in the future. You can close your eyes and go 100 million years in the future. But today is made from man-made constructive time, 24 hours in a day. It's determined by the speed in which a particle of light leaves the sun and hits the earth. That's a constant. It's man-made constructive and it's quantitative in its nature. I use time as a dependent variable to determine how long did it take me to get 1% better at X. X would be something in a trajectory of where I think I want to be or better. Einstein created the rule of 72 that said for whatever period of time it takes to get 1% better, it'll take 72 of that identical periods of time if you don't get better at doing it. If you get better at doing it, it'll actually speed up even, and the rule of 72 will happen faster than 72 months, 72 weeks, 72 days, or 72 hours. And so I'm always looking for quantitative constant variables that I can improve upon, even like guilt, right? I use the rule of 72 for guilt. So for example, if I feel guilty, which I still do sometimes, I know that's an interfering energy to my potential. So I will use time to say, how long am I going to feel guilty about this? If I can get 1% better tomorrow and not feel guilty for an entire hour, but I can now feel guilty for 60 seconds less, it'll be 72 days until I don't feel guilty ever again, right? I'm improved. But it also, with community or building money, right? If I can create 1% more revenue in a month, I know I'm only 72 months before it doubles. I've now doubled my business in 6 years. If I have a community, this is how I built, and I'm blessed because I got to help Gary Vaynerchuk with his sports agency 6.5 years ago at the Super Bowl, and he, convinced me that I should build this brand. And he said to me, Dave, if we're going to do this together, I need to know what you want in a year. And I said, I want 2 ambassadors, 2 people like Matt Foster. They're going to have me on their show, tell everybody you got to watch the podcast and listen to this and read the books and go to his speeches, go to his free meetups and free Friday trainings, whatever it is. Matt's going to get me 2 people a year to at least come and board with us as an ambassador. And he's all, 2 people? I go, yeah. I go, because I'm 50 years old, and 20 years from now, I'll be the most popular 70-year-old for my genre of what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And he goes, how do you figure that? I said, the rule of 72, right? If I can double every year, 2 turns to 4, 4, 8, I'll have 2 million people when I'm 70, getting me 2 million more ambassadors every year. That will easily make me the most powerful and engaged person in my genre of what I'm trying to do, which is to empower people to make money, help people, and have fun.
And I love that because it's so different from how most of us think. Because I could look at the beginning of the podcast, I could look at the downloads. Like, I think we're doing better than most that are first starting, just because I waited years to do this. Should have started it earlier due to that compounding. But to be able to have the time and energy to really give this the attention that it deserves, and also to bring on amazing people like yourself and be prepared to have great conversations and to learn. It's such an interesting thing, actually, being able to interview amazing people, because I'm actually taking something away every time. It's like my own personal teaching by asking, and it's been a beautiful thing. But what I love is that most people, if they're not getting some feedback, if their framework isn't correct about what the feedback should be, even on that small amount, like you said, from Gary Vaynerchuk's perspective, it's like, oh no, it needs to be 1 million people. But how do you actually get there? And I think this is what I love about you too, Dave, is that you believe in gratitude, you believe in manifestation, you believe in a lot of the realm of what is beyond us and feeds into us and energy. But at the end of the day, too, you're a realist in the sense that 2 + 2 = 4, and 2 × 2 = on and on from there. That there actually is some realism behind the action that you actually take in this physical world. It's just more, what kind of consistency can you take? Like how you talk to your mom every single day. You shortened up the need to go drive 4 hours, like you've said before, and fix a window screen to let her know that you love her. Not that you don't spend time with her, but your consistency of a smaller period of time actually does a lot more for your relationship with her. So I think what people can take away from this is that, A, don't be discouraged by small outcomes, that if you have the drive and the consistency to stand behind them, it really can compound to something amazing. You just need enough time to get there and for it to keep getting better over time.
Yeah, there's a great saying, right? 2 minutes a day, and I use this with my daughters because I asked for 5 minutes a day with them, but 2 minutes a day, which is what they gave me minimum, is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. And all that's really about time is a dependent variable and math, that aggregation, the exponentiality of outcomes and acceleration that occurs from time, from space, from money, all energies. 3 characteristics of energies. If you study physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics, there's 3 characteristics. Energy will collect more of the same energy. It aggregates. It'll provide you the exponentiality through the rule of 72 of outcomes, and it will accelerate, so it comes faster. If everything that we wanted aggregated, exponentially created more outcomes of what we wanted, and happened faster, we'd be super happy. And so I use behaviors, time, space, money in the essence of physics in order to facilitate. You talked about being pragmatic in a woo-woo world. I'm very pragmatic about my faith. And I need to share this with everyone because it's part of a challenge. And once again, if you want my book, david@dmeltzer.com, Matt will put in the notes. But listen to this. I talk about source, and it's the source of my faith. And the source of my faith is based off of a very pragmatic thing, my best option. You see, people have different definitions of the source of their faith. There's Jesus, there's Muhammad, Buddha, there's Joseph Smith, there's Jesus Christ. There's a whole bunch of them. These are the source of people's faith. I myself, I don't want to separate myself because I believe that the source of my faith should just be, if I can't prove mathematically, talk about pragmatic wooism, if I can't prove what the source of my faith is, then I'm just going to take the best option. So I challenge people. I said, here's the source of my faith. I believe in a unified, abundant system of thought that is omniscient. It's all knowing. It's all powerful. And it protects and promotes me and loves me more than it's my mom. And I challenge everyone out there. I don't care if you could prove it, it'd be great. But I don't care if you could prove it. Just tell me something that's a better option to believe in. Tell me something that's, if you can't prove the source of your faith, then give me a better option to believe in that I can't prove, but it works for me so well and it works for everyone so well that almost every religion is based off of the best option that I'm thinking of. 99% of all religions, although they argue within themselves and outside of themselves, they believe in something bigger than them that loves them more than their mom. Let's be honest. So I talk about this woo-woo stuff, but I do it in a very pragmatic way to say, hey, bro, I really don't need you to prove to me or evangelize to me. I'm a best options guy. So unless you could tell me a better option, you could call it whatever you want. People say, Dave, do you believe in Jesus Christ? I said, is Jesus Christ bigger than me, knows everything, and loves me more than my mom? And they're like, yes. I'm like, I believe in that. And then someone else says, you believe in Buddha? Yeah, Buddha bigger than me, love me more than my mom, knows everything? Yeah, okay, I believe in that. And they get a little bit frustrated sometimes. I'm like, just give me a better option to believe in. It's the source of your faith that determines the trajectory and allowing you not to limit your own self-image because you'll never overachieve your own self-image.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you know that you are your highest self with the truth that you hold on to. And like you said, you're still waiting for people to come back to hand you something that is a better option. So I love that. But to be respectful of your time, Dave, I know we already passed the 20-minute mark that we allotted. I usually do have a power 3 at the end, but I can completely skip that, with respect to your time if we can't get through that.
Let's just do it real quick. Let's do power 3.
Okay, power 3 real quick. I asked these 3 questions to every guest, create some consistency, and I like the answer. So 1, what is something that Dave Meltzer is studying right now? It could be a book, podcast, thought, just kind of a direction, because you're always kind of mulling on things, right? If someone was to look over Dave's shoulder, what's something that you're really obsessing over right now that'd be interesting for them to look into?
Time. Study time. Time is the dependent variable of all matter. I study it. I'm into the Bhagavad Gita. I'm into rare collections of historical data in order to effectuate how does human nature align with the philosophy and pragmatic practice of time.
Love that. All right. Power question number 2. What is an actionable tip that you would recommend to the audience that if they applied today and followed continuing forward would help change their lives?
Guaranteed. Say thank you before you go to bed and thank you when you wake up. Easiest, simplest, fastest, least expensive, takes 0.1 seconds. Most impactful exponential outcomes will come from anyone. It's not easy to do because the simple things to do are unfortunately simple not to do. So force yourself to say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up. I guarantee it'll change your life.
Got it. And I'll take that one to heart. I'm not always, maybe sometimes more in the morning time than at night, but I think on both sides of the day it makes a huge difference. So I'll take that for myself. Power question number 3. This one is close to home for me, and it's my own special one because I feel like I haven't seen any other podcast ask this question. I believe that amazing people run with other amazing people, and I know you just know a ton it's just almost like, who do you want to talk to, Matt? Right. But for the context of this podcast, season 1 is already booked up, but I plan to do this for the long term. My ask is, who is someone Dave Meltzer recommends being on this podcast that'd be a good fit, great to speak on success and where they're going and having an impact with life, and that also you wouldn't mind, which I know you don't, wouldn't mind making an introduction to, so that we can set that up.
I have probably 1,000 of people,
I know it's
but
tough. I know it's tough when you have a lot of
I'll
people.
give you, give me a genre. You want athlete, celebrity, entrepreneur, billion? Who do you want? Give me a
Okay,
category.
let's go entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, then we're gonna go one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Clinton Sparks, platinum
Okay.
producer, Lady Gaga, Beyonce. He's in the song. Clinton Sparks, one of my favorite crossover entrepreneurs, and he's one of the best interviews you'll ever have. You will laugh your ass off for half an hour.
Looking forward to. All right, Clint, we're coming for you. Dave's going to make the introduction, and we will make sure you get on to one of the next seasons. So, Dave, with respect to your time, with lots of love for you, man, we're going to go into what I always say is my favorite part. When the recording stops, there's some conversation that happens beyond it, and that's for us and for you guys to maybe ask me about if you ever see me in person. So, Dave, thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Talk to you soon.